Movie review, another 2019 movie. This is called Joker, written directed by Todd Phillips. And he was involved in the making of the movie Hangover, one I haven't watched but became quite successful. Anyway, director and writer for this particular movie. In the cast, in the lead role is Joaquin Phoenix, who plays Arthur Fleck slash the Joker. Zazie Beetz is Sophie Dumond. Robert De Niro plays Murray Franklin. Brett Cullen's Thomas Wayne. Francis Conroy plays Penny Fleck. That's the mother of Arthur. And Douglas Hodge is Alfred Pennyworth. Shay Wingham is the GCPD detective. And Mark Maron plays Ted Marco. Okay, so as you may recall, this movie was pretty successful, and it led to the Academy Award for lead actor for Joaquin Phoenix. I'm now going to run through a fairly brief review of my plot. Murray Franklin, played by De Niro, is a talk show host, and he's idolised by Arthur. Sophie's a neighbour of Arthur's, and Arthur lives in a high-rise flat, and Sophie has a flat down the hall. She's a one-parent family and has a young child. Arthur's mother, Penny, lives with Arthur, and we're aware of Thomas Wayne, a rich businessman in the city of Gotham. More about that later. We also get to meet a very young Bruce Wayne, and of course, most of us will now be familiar with that name from the Marvel comic and the series of movies and TV shows about Batman, usually with his sidekick Robin. Okay, so there is a tenuous link to all that sort of Marvel comedy type feeling, but I'll go into a little bit more detail as to how the plot evolves. Batman, of course, we all know that he was had a part-time job saving Gotham City from criminal elements, and one of those criminals was the Joker. But it has very little bearing on this movie, other than Gotham has a dark criminal underworld. Bordering on anarchy, it has to be said. The movie is dominated by Fleck, and Arthur is a man with acute personality disorders. He lives with his mother, she's in ill health, but he does his best to care for her. Initially, we know little of his background, but later we learn his father is one Thomas Wayne, who had a fling with his mother Penny when she was employed by Wayne. We also learn he has a number of jobs. He's a stand-up comedian. He dresses as a joker, and his act is at times amusing, but also quite dark. He's also employed occasionally to carry out specific functions, example, going along to a children's ward in a hospital to brighten up the youngster's day. He's dressed as a joker, but rarely has a script. However, he hasn't really got his script dialed in to helping these youngsters, as we note from observation. His material's often controversial, and we witness him losing that job because the children are unimpressed by his script, so to speak. From time to time, he also works as a sandwich board man on the street, an ad man as such for various agencies, and various people employ him as he's very colourfully dressed as a joker. However, this ad man job on the street leads him to become a target. He's deemed as an undesirable, and he gets attacked and mugged, which destroys the board. Problems on public transport occur as well, where he's picked on. He catches the eye of a young 6-year-old girl who's African American, but the child's mother is not too keen on Arthur doing peekaboo with her, and his facial gestures, which make the girl laugh, are not viewed positively, and he gets a quick reprimand by the mother, who sees him as a potential danger. This, of course, all affects his self-esteem, and these combination of events happening to him reinforces the fact that he's different and suggests to him that his life is pretty unbearable. Following the mugging, an associate at the agency offers him a toy gun to use for protection, and this becomes a turning point in the movie. Arthur degenerates into further states of mental illness, hysterical acts, and he is receiving counselling. But then he's informed by the counsellor that the money that funds her work, and thus her appointments with Arthur, are about to be stopped, and also this assists in providing him with the necessary medication to keep his personality disorder in check. And all this uncertainty contributes to his further decline into rather unhinged behaviour. At this point onward, the movie slides into more and more psychological chaos from Arthur. He moves from a man just about managing his life to one more delinquent, more unhinged. Violence becomes more apparent, in fact, extreme violence. And when he learns of being an orphan because of his mother's psychiatric illness, he gets a glimpse of the file held by the welfare department. He gets a picture of the separation early on and the origins of his father. He attempts to make contact with Wayne, and we witness a very unsavoury scene at the gates to Wayne's mansion. Later, Arthur approaches his father, and this is very impactful. His father's in denial about being the father, and he's also pretty critical of Arthur's mother, a woman who Arthur has loved throughout his life. And it sort of very much continues this low self-esteem, and his confidence drains away, and he becomes more and more unhinged, and we see a slow deterioration in this man and how he fails to cope with society. As I mentioned earlier, the movie touches on the role of Marvel heroes, Batman, etc. But as the Joker in this film, he's completely different from the Joker we saw in those other flicks. And Phoenix's performance, of course, certainly impactful. A contrast of emotions, a very high-powered performance. He won the Oscar, and quite well deserves. The movie is quite violent, even though it doesn't happen very often, and so you may bear this in mind when you go to watch it. I thought it was pretty good, not as great as many critics, but anyway, that's my review of Joker from 2019.